Good day, everybody. It's Andrew here, and welcome back to my channel. We have a huge update on Social Security and stimulus changes. Mitch McConnell just flipped out, and we'll discuss the details in just a minute. But before we jump into it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. I also have a second channel, so do me a huge favor. Click on the link that's in the description of this video. Subscribe to my second channel. I'm going to be giving away a stimulus check on that channel just as a thank you for supporting my work. Okay, so what's going on with the stimulus package and what just made Mitch McConnell flip out? Well, if you watched my previous videos today, you know that everybody's talking about those Virginia governor election, which Republicans just won in an upset, right? So this is having massive impacts on the stimulus package. On the one hand, Mitch McConnell just flipped out and said, see, this is proof that the American people don't want a massive stimulus package. Now, personally, I strongly disagree, and let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think Democrats lost in Virginia because the American people don't want a massive stimulus package? Quite frankly, I think it's the opposite. I think they lost Virginia because they haven't delivered the next stimulus package, and they haven't delivered the stimulus check for seniors on top of not having delivered an increase in Social Security benefits, right? And that is what Democrats are saying. Most Democrats are saying, you know what? The reason we lost is because we haven't done another stimulus package yet. And now Democrats are saying they are moving full steam ahead to get these next two stimulus packages done, and they're even saying they might have them done as quickly as by the end of this week. Now, of course, that's ambitious, and we don't expect them to hit that deadline, but quite frankly, it's looking more and more realistic, like these two stimulus packages will be done before Thanksgiving. Now, Mitch McConnell flipped out, saying that Democrats lost in Virginia, and they're going to continue to lose elections going forward because they're spending too much and they're trying to approve too much stimulus. He also just held an interview saying that Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are going to essentially write this stimulus package because they are the ones that are making things more difficult for Democrats. So it seems like Mitch McConnell is trying to put more pressure on Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin from the conservative side. He's basically trying to put the blame on them for whatever stimulus gets approved, and I really don't think that tactic's going to work. But take a look and see what Mitch McConnell said for yourself.
Yep.
If the House goes ahead and passes this social spending bill, bounces it over here, obviously there would probably have to be changes. You know how things always work with the Burr rule and everything else. So what would we anticipate from Republicans to try to throw, gears in the process here during a vote-a-rama to try to mess with that bill to make it harder for the House of Representatives to process that bill when it goes back?
Well, I think we all know there are two Democratic senators that are going to be able to write this bill. Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema will determine what the bill looks like. There is a process for amendments, and you can be assured that we'll have a robust amendment process during the vote-a-rama. But I think we all know, and I think the House knows as well, that Manchin and or Sinema are going to write the bill. And then I would observe this seems to be quite a challenging exercise for them. I'm glad it is. This is a bill America does not want and does not need. The ideal solution would be to not pass it. But if it's to pass, it'll be written by Manchin and or Sinema.
Leader McConnell.
Yeah.
One of the most popular polling-wise provisions that was in that bill was the paid family leave provision. It doesn't seem like that's going to be in the final version. Is there any version of a paid family leave proposal that Republican senators would support or that you would support should it come up sometime down the line?
Look, if I were the majority leader and we were setting the agenda, that'd be a good discussion to have. But we're not setting the agenda. We're reacting to what they're proposing, and that seems to be challenging for them as well.
Leader McConnell, based on the way the bill is written today, how would you expect it to score, and how would that affect the process, even if it is scored this week?
With your mask on, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I was asking, based on the way the bill stands today, how would you expect it to score?
Well, I don't know how the bill stands today. Do you? I don't have a clue. I'm pretty sure
without additional change.
Many of the Democrats are not sure what it looks like either.
All right, so Mitch McConnell again saying that The American people don't want this massive stimulus package, which to me is completely out of touch with reality. And guys, I really want to know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with Mitch McConnell? Do you really not want this massive stimulus package? Because I can't imagine seniors not wanting a stimulus check after having paid into the system their entire lives. I mean, quite frankly, the stimulus check, some people like Mitch McConnell, they look at stimulus checks as a giveaway, when it's really just you getting some of your own tax money back that you've paid your entire life, especially when you take into account that you've paid into Social Security your whole life and now benefits are so small that you're forced to live in poverty, right? It's completely unfair. But in any case, this is what's going on currently. Mitch McConnell is flipping out, saying that Democrats should not be doing this massive stimulus package because the American people don't want this, and the Virginia election was an example of that. Now, Democrats are saying the exact opposite, and they're doubling down on saying that they're going to get this massive stimulus package done even more quickly, and some people are even talking about making a $2,000 check to be included in this package because, like I'm constantly talking about on my channel, the Democrats have completely understood that every time they pass a stimulus check, their approval ratings go through the roof. So these elections are going to become more and more intertwined with this current stimulus package and the next stimulus package, which President Biden said will come in 2022. Remember, folks, these Virginia and New Jersey elections are just the first of many that are to come over the next year. And with those elections coming next year for the House and the Senate, Democrats are trying to do anything they can to make sure they can maintain control of both chambers. Otherwise, President Biden is going to end up being a sitting duck for his last 2 years in office. So, with these elections being so intertwined with the stimulus package, let's talk about the election that just happened in Virginia and in New Jersey. Well, why did Democrats lose? Again, in my opinion, and in a lot of experts' opinion, they lost because they haven't approved the next stimulus package yet, and they haven't approved more stimulus checks. But at the end of the day, what ended up happening is basically across the board. Democrats lost votes in Virginia that they previously got last year when President Biden ran for president. This isn't a situation where just Republicans came out to vote in droves. This is a situation where Democrats, they lost votes from Democratic voters, and they lost a lot of votes from independent voters, which tend to go back and forth between voting Republican and voting Democrat. So basically, that's a really bad sign for Democrats because it's not like the Republican voters were galvanized and came out to vote in record numbers, which they did, but Democrats did as well. It's really the fact that Democrats are losing votes from Democratic voters, guys. So this is a really, really bad sign for Democrats. But like I said before, it could potentially be a really, really good sign for stimulus because Democrats have admitted that passing stimulus checks helps them win more votes, whether you agree with that or not. So since these elections are so tied in with the stimulus packages, let's take a look and see an analysis of exactly what happened in Virginia and why Democrats lost that race. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
Let's go to Steve Kornacki. Steve,
whoa, what a
talk
night.
about a crazy night.
Here you go. And this is what the result is. As you say, the Republican Glenn Youngkin pulling out the victory in Virginia. A year ago at this time, we were talking about how Virginia had gone blue, had gone for Joe Biden by double digits, by 10 points. Now, the Republican by 2 points over Terry McAuliffe. How did Youngkin do it? Well, the simplest answer is he made everything a little bit less blue. He made everything a little bit more red. We can show you the results here compared to 2020. The more red it is, the bigger the bubble it is, the more Republican improvement it is. You can see pretty much everywhere here on the map you have Republican improvement, but a couple of areas jump out here. We'll pull this right off the screen. Number one, you look in the Hampton Roads area, you look in Virginia Beach. We talked yesterday. This was the closest thing I think there was to kind of a bellwether in the state, the city of Virginia Beach. This is this is the biggest independent city in Virginia demographically. This is one of those places. It's a pretty good sort of a combination of everything every group in the state there. So it's a pretty good representation of the state. It's a place that Joe Biden had won. Youngkin's campaign said they wanted to win it back. They won it back. They won it back by 8 points. Same thing happened right next door in the city of Chesapeake. These were sort of bellwether areas. Youngkin won them back. He won them back by a solid margin, too. The other thing that Glenn Youngkin did, we talked about the suburbs of Washington, D.C. Could he make inroads, not necessarily win, but could he win back some of the voters that the Republican Party had abandoned in the suburbs of Northern Virginia, in the suburbs of Virginia during the Trump presidency? Here's Fairfax County. It's the biggest one in the state on paper. Oh, geez, Youngkin got slaughtered in Fairfax County. Well, he did. He lost by 30 points to Terry McAuliffe, but he didn't get slaughtered as much as Donald Trump did. This was a 42-point loss for Donald Trump last year in the biggest county in Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C. Youngkin was able to take that back 12 points. You see, if you go back to the last election pre-Trump, when Mitt Romney was running, he was able to get closer to where Romney ran here, although he didn't. You see, he didn't actually get back to that Romney number. So, if he wasn't getting to Romney numbers in the suburbs of Northern Virginia, and remember, Romney lost statewide, what was the other ingredient to this last night for Youngkin? Well, he made inroads in the suburbs, he won the bellwethers, and then he met and then exceeded Donald Trump's total of the vote all throughout rural Virginia. And this was the other question mark, because there are places here, I think we showed you yesterday morning. Let's revisit it right now. It's a small one, but it's a story we see in a whole bunch of these different small red counties on the map right here. Allegheny County, just check out the story of the last couple of election cycles here. Go all the way back to 2012. This was a toss-up. Mitt Romney won this county by just a couple of points in 2012. Along came Donald Trump. This is the kind of place, rural, blue-collar, non-college educated white voters. This is sort of Appalachia. Donald Trump did extremely well here. It was not guaranteed coming into this election that Youngkin could do what Trump had did. Youngkin did what Trump had did, and look at that. He actually builds it, a 50-point victory for Youngkin in a county that just 9 years ago, Republicans were winning by 3 points. So he locked in, Youngkin did, the Trump surge in rural Virginia, in southwest Virginia. He made inroads in the suburbs, and as we say, he won those bellwethers. And there it is, a state that last year was 10 points for Joe Biden. Now, a Republican win.
Let's talk about New Jersey real quick. It's very tight race. It does look like the votes outstanding are in Murphy's category, but this is a state Biden won by 16 points. Democrats really should be concerned that it's close this morning.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about close. In our tally right now, there it is. 61 votes at this hour, separating Jack Ciattarelli, the Republican challenger, Phil Murphy, the Democratic incumbent. That's come down from about 500 2 hours or so ago. So Murphy keeps getting closer. He hasn't caught him yet. But as you mentioned, this is what New Jersey looked like in the 2020 presidential election. 16-point Biden win. New Jersey hasn't gone Republican in a presidential race since back in 1988. Chris Christie won the governor's race twice in New Jersey. Otherwise, there's not much to show for Republicans in statewide campaigns in New Jersey this century. If you talk to even Republicans in New Jersey the week before this campaign, they were not giving you much in terms of Ciattarelli's chances. They were saying, hey, maybe we keep this under 10. Maybe we can do okay in the state legislature. Instead, as you say, here's Ciattarelli right now, still actually leading in the vote tally. Now, where is the remaining vote here? One thing that we've been following, and I'm not sure when today, we hope today we will get this, Mercer County. This is a fairly good-sized county. This is where Trenton is, the state capital. Princeton's down here. This is a Democratic county. I can just show you how Democratic. It's the kind of county that Joe Biden won by 40 points in 2020. What we are missing in Mercer County is critical here. I think it's the vote by mail, the mail ballots. And the mail ballots in New Jersey, it's true in every state. We keep talking about this. heavily, overwhelmingly, we're talking like 80% Democratic. So when you get the vote by mail in Mercer County, I think there's an expectation that Phil Murphy going to pad the lead he has in Mercer County. That would certainly give him the opportunity to leapfrog, to catapult over Chitterelli in a statewide count. We also believe there are still some precincts to report out yesterday's Election Day vote in Essex County. This is Newark. This is the area immediately around Newark. This is the biggest Democratic vote-producing county in New Jersey. Some of the precincts within this county are extremely, extremely Democratic. So if a few of those are still outstanding, again, there's a chance for Murphy to net some votes there. We also think there may be some votes to come here in Somerset County. This is actually Jack Chitterelli's home county. You see Chitterelli leading in the tally here right now. Again, we think there may be some early vote or some mail vote. Either way, that's a more Democratic-friendly type of vote left here. So you can find pockets like this on this map where it looks like Murphy has opportunities to get ahead. You could see a path there for Murphy. And you can't find comparably pockets on this map right now for Chitterelli. But the one thing I would just say is, and this is the one thing Democrats and the Republicans I talked to last night agreed on in New Jersey, they were both baffled with and frustrated by the vote reporting coming out of these counties. Very, very unclear, even to these parties last night in New Jersey, exactly where the remaining vote was.
So New Jersey's too close to call again, a state that Joe Biden won by 16 points. Steve, I'm going to ask you to hop back to Virginia and look at some of the issues out of our exit polling, what people voted on. Glenn Youngkin, who won this race, made it all about education. His rallies were called Parents Matter. He was speaking to the curriculum in the schools. He was speaking to some of these schools being closed for well over a year and the frustration that parents had. So what did people vote on in Virginia, Steve?
Yeah, I'm seeing if I can call it up here, and it's unfortunately the graphic doesn't seem to be loading, but we asked in the poll, what do you consider to be the most important issue in the exit poll? What do you consider to be the most important issue? The economy actually topped the list, but not far behind it. About a quarter of all voters, 24%, identified education as their top issue in this race. Folks who picked education went for Youngkin by a pretty solid margin. So, again, focal point of Youngkin's campaign. That actually, the county, you mentioned the rally, what he called the Parents Matter rally that Youngkin closed his campaign with. And his campaign thought Loudoun County would be the epicenter of that in particular. Again, D.C. metro area. Here you go. McAuliffe is going to win this by 10.5 points. The Youngkin campaign believed that issue of education would have resonance in the suburbs and really in Loudoun County. And again, check this out. This was a 25-point massacre for Joe Biden and for the Democrats a year ago. 25-point win. Youngkin doesn't win it, but look at that. He brings it all the way down to basically 10 points in Loudoun County. And again, one of the things he was trying to do, he was trying to rewind the clock. He was trying to get Republicans back closer to where they were in the suburbs before Donald Trump came along. Again, he did not get them all the way back. Look at this. Mitt Romney was only 4 points behind in Loudoun County when he was running. Youngkin didn't get them all the way back there, but he got them close enough where, again, if you supplement that surge Trump vote that he was able to hold on to and actually build on, that's sort of a new combination. You know, we've seen different candidates win Virginia different ways in the past. Here's one. Youngkin didn't get the traditional kind of old school Republican strength in the suburbs, but he got a little bit, and then he supplemented it with strength they hadn't seen before Donald Trump in the rural parts of the state. And that, in this case, is what adds up to this.